Shall I pretend to be your girlfriend? Don't worry, I'm great at acting. I was quite troubled by my parents' persistent matchmaking attempts, and my boss Emily offered to pretend to be my girlfriend. She was way too beautiful to be my girlfriend, but it seemed like this would work out for now. However, on the day of the meeting, not only my parents, but I too was shocked by an unexpected revelation. Alex, is this really your girlfriend? From that day on, my feelings started to change significantly. Meanwhile, Emily continued to pretend to be my girlfriend indefinitely. I'm Alex, 36 years old. I've been single for 36 years. I have few friends and even fewer opportunities to meet new people. My days end with commuting between work and home. My few friends are all married with kids now, so I rarely see them. The only person I know around my age who's single like me is my boss, Emily. People might think I'm either gay or just unable to find love, but she is also quite a mystery. She's stunningly beautiful, highly competent at work, and I've seen guys hit on her more than once. Yet she boldly declares at office parties, I'm staying single forever, and doesn't seem to care about being single at all. I admire and envy her resolute attitude. I don't want to be without a girlfriend. I want a wife and kids. I've been introduced to women several times, including during my school days, but even if the first date goes well, it never leads to anything more. No one has ever told me it's because of my looks or personality, so it doesn't seem to be that. What's the problem? Lately, I've been thinking about this all the time. Alex. Emily's voice snapped me back to reality. I was at work. Hey, you've been spacing out a lot lately. What's up? If something's bothering you, I'm here to help. No, it's nothing. I'll be more careful, sorry. Even if I could talk to her, she wouldn't understand my worries. After all, she's someone who thinks being single is the best. It's already 4:30, and there's not much time left until the 5 o'clock end of the day. I need to finish these documents quickly, but if it means working overtime, that's fine too, because my parents nag me if I go home early. I still live with my parents at my age, and lately they have been pressuring me about marriage and grandchildren. I'm just worried about your future, Alex. Yeah, we won't be around forever. I understand what they're saying, but still, I really want the same thing. I'm just anxious about how to make it happen. Alex, are you staying late? Let's grab a drink tonight. John, who sits next to me, is a colleague from my same year. He has a wife and 2 kids. I don't have deep relationships at work, so even though I'm friendly with John, we've never gone out for drinks personally. John, you should go home. Your wife is taking care of the twins by herself, right? He made a resigned face and said, That's why when I get home, all I hear until bedtime is how hard her day was. I want to stay out late sometimes too. Unbelievable. If I had a wife and kids, I would definitely want to go home early to see them. But since I don't know what marriage is really like. Maybe my thinking is naive. Maybe I should ask him about it over drinks. I decided to focus until the end of the day and then head to the pub near the station with John. His recommended pub is cheap, and the food is decent, but we have to get there early to get a seat. Tonight, we hurried from the office and managed to snag a couple of seats at the counter. We toasted with beers and started to unwind from the day. Halfway through my mug, I remembered I should text my mom that I won't eat dinner tonight. John, who are you texting? Mom, I replied, and he chuckled. I know why he's laughing, but I don't want her to go through the trouble of making dinner for me. Her reply said, Enjoy yourself. She probably thinks I'm out with a woman. I rarely stay out late unless it's for farewell parties or year-end parties. Feeling a bit tipsy from the alcohol, I boldly asked John an intrusive question. Hey, how did you meet your wife and start dating? Since I don't usually discuss such things with coworkers. He seemed surprised but answered sincerely. It was at my previous job. I joined this company mid-career. Remember, my wife was my junior at my old company. So, how did you start dating? It was pretty normal. We met at a pub one day, said hi, and oh, it's you. Hit it off, went to a second round, and within a week, she came to my parents' house. Even if I met a female colleague at a pub, I can't imagine it turning into a romance from just hi, and oh, it's you. Usually it's just a drink together and then see you tomorrow, right? How does it escalate to meeting the parents within a week? As I pondered this, the person next to me left, and someone new sat down. I'll have a large beer, a breaded pork cutlet, grilled mackerel, and some chicken skewers. Despite the woman's voice, her order was quite hearty. Wait, that voice sounds familiar. I looked over, and there was Emily. The only empty seat at the counter was next to me. She comes to pubs alone. How impressive. She noticed me, and we made eye contact. Hi. Oh, we ended up drinking together, and that cat was just so cute. I almost took it home, but then I came to my senses. It wouldn't be fair to keep it in my apartment. Emily, already tipsy, was enthusiastic, recounting how she almost adopted a cat from a shelter. John, who loves beautiful women like Emily, was fully engaged in the conversation. For some reason, every guy at our company, even the married ones, is infatuated with her. I, on the other hand, was listening half-heartedly since I didn't have any personal interest in her beyond work. Maybe my low energy bothered her because she suddenly turned the conversation towards me. Alex, why aren't you getting married? She is always straightforward, even when drinking. Of all questions, why that one? It's not that simple. I don't have anyone willing to be my girlfriend. She summarized my situation bluntly. That's because you're clueless about the world, Alex. Curious about what she meant. I asked her to elaborate. Apparently, I'm out of touch with modern social life, insensitive to women's feelings, and not sophisticated enough. I was genuinely impressed. Emily really pays attention to people. It's true that I'm not interested in what's happening in the world. I don't watch TV or browse the internet. I don't care about trends or places women enjoy. My hobby is reading, specifically paper books. I'm an analog. On weekends, I go to bookstores and cafes, places for reading, not for talking. Why didn't I realize this sooner? I should meet a woman who shares my love for books. When I get home, I'll look for a book club or some social group for adults. I felt a glimmer of hope and downed the rest of my beer. That's exactly the problem, Alex. That's why you're not popular, Emily said, exasperated. How? What do you mean? To put it nicely, you're super laid back. To put it bluntly, you're extremely self-contained. I may not be as outgoing as Emily, but how does she understand my thoughts so well? Is she a genius? Just as I started to take an interest in her, she had already moved on to another topic with John. We ended up at karaoke for the second round. Emily was an amazing singer, but I was exhausted from the unfamiliar night out, and my memory became hazy. When I got home past 11, my parents were grinning in the living room. I coldly told them I just drank with a colleague. Seeing them visibly disappointed filled me with a sense of guilt. My parents are very close. During my teenage years, I found it embarrassing and would separate from them during family trips. As an adult, seeing friends pair up, I understood that love and marriage can be close bonds. But there are also guys like John who occasionally don't want to go home. My dad coming home on time every night and my mom greeting him with cheerful stories are probably more than just normal. I still don't get men and women at all. Anyway, I should take a bath and then read my mystery novel before bed. As I headed towards the bathroom, my mom called out, Alex, come here for a moment. I was seated across from my parents at the living room table. On the table was a thin photo album. Take a look at this. Mom opened the album to reveal a woman in a flashy dress. I had a bad feeling. Isn't this a matchmaking photo? Dad started to explain. Your aunt from California has been suggesting this for a while. I always thought it'd be better for you to marry for love, so I turned down the matchmaking offers. But since you have no one, that emphasized the importance of marrying for love because that's how they did it. Having seen their happiness, I can understand that. But this woman, isn't this Sarah, Auntie's neighbor? Sarah is 5 years older than me and used to bully me when we visited her place during holidays. She was bossy, took my toys, never waited her turn, and flipped the board when she was losing. Even when we met as teenagers, her nasty attitude hadn't changed. You're so gloomy, Alex, always reading. No wonder you can't get a girlfriend. You're so dull, Alex, not kind, not attentive. She'd constantly point out my flaws and make snide comments. She probably hasn't changed as an adult. I'm not in a position to be picky, but she is a bit too much for me. Sarah has had far fewer opportunities. Now that she's 41. Alex, you used to play together a lot, didn't you? Since you already know her, you know what kind of person she is. Knowing what kind of person she is exactly why I don't want this. But saying that would embarrass my aunt. Is it her age that bothers you? Nowadays, there are more hospitals that ensure safe deliveries even for older mothers. Times have changed for the better. Wait, are you saying it's because of her age? How dare you? If you criticize a woman's age, it hurts me too. That's just how women are. I couldn't find a good reason to refuse. It's not about the age, but something else. At 41, Emily is also that age. But she has a great personality, Alex. You're not really rejecting her because of her age, are you? Hey, Alex, you'd better not make Mom mad. Feeling cornered by them, I blurted out. Well, actually, I do have a girlfriend. She's around 40 and works at the same company. Of course, I didn't, but the only woman who came to mind was Emily, who seemed a much better choice than Sarah. They were momentarily stunned and then broke into big smiles. Despite the late hour, they brought out the champagne to celebrate. They kept asking about her, so I said she's 41, a department manager, thoughtful, and likes to drink. That's all I knew about Emily. Great, bring her over soon. How about the holiday next week? I had no chance to object to Dad's suggestion. My head was spinning with John's words. It's normal, we met at a pub, hit it off, and within a week she was at my parents' house. The next day I went to work with a heavy heart. I had to convince Emily to help me out, or I'd end up with Sarah if she came over just once. I could say we broke up later, Emily. Being a good sport would probably help me out once. But the problem was how to bring it up. I waited patiently for a moment when she was free. However, she was always talking to someone and never seemed to have any time alone. Alex, you're acting weird. You're staring at Emily too much. John's comment made me realize I had been watching her all day. I didn't want to be disliked as a creepy guy. I decided to consult with John. So I'm in trouble. Am I weird for asking this? Well, it's pretty bold to ask Emily of all people. We were discussing it secretly through internal email. We could delete the messages later. Just then, a new message popped up that neither John nor I sent. Shall I pretend to be your girlfriend from Jones? Ha! We looked over at Emily's desk. She was giving us a peace sign. Then another message popped up. Don't use company email for personal stuff. I'll delete everything. Karaoke tonight? We had CCE Emily on our emails. After work, the three of us went to the same pub as the previous night. With John's help, we arranged for Emily to come over on the holiday. Leave it to me, I'm great at acting, she said confidently, and a drunken John enthusiastically agreed. He seemed to be enjoying this as if it were someone else's problem. The day finally arrived. I left my house, which was in chaos with deliveries from the pizza place, liquor store, and flower shop, to go meet Emily at the station. I arrived a bit early, but she was already there. Emily, in her casual clothes, looked just like a model. I'd only seen her in a suit before, but she's truly beautiful in both face and figure. On top of that, she's got an amazing personality. I bet my parents will be more shocked than I expected. And indeed they were when I introduced her. They were incredibly surprised. I was also speechless when I learned the shocking truth. Oh, you're really her, right? The former actress Emily. Mom kept asking her over and over, Alex, is it true? Is she really your girlfriend? Dad also kept asking me repeatedly. I was too stunned to say anything. According to the internet, Emily was a famous actress and singer over 20 years ago. She retired suddenly when she was young and was rumored to be working a regular job somewhere. I felt depressed about my own ignorance. That's why so many people at work, married or not, treated her specially. Emily enjoyed the food, drinks, and flowers. My family was giddy the whole time. She kept up the role of my girlfriend with a big smile until the end. Her performance was truly perfect. As they were leaving, my parents enthusiastically told her, Please come again. She responded with a loud, Sure. Her acting was so amazing that I couldn't help but regret she quit being an actress. Thank you so much for today. I owe you one. At the station on the way back, I sincerely thanked her for everything. Emily had a troubled look on her face. I didn't drink enough, she said, sounding dissatisfied. Oh, maybe I pushed her too hard. She really got into the role, even though she drank a lot. She was probably just pretending and couldn't actually enjoy it. I'm sorry, they got a bit too excited. I guess it's not great to be reminded of your past like that, right? I said this thinking, if it were me, I wouldn't like it. She looked at me for a few seconds, then smiled and said, "You said you owe me one, right? Then let's go to an after party." What now? Karaoke? It wasn't good to teach you that after parties are just karaoke. There are all kinds of after parties. Come on, follow me. Emily pulled me along, and we got on the train. We arrived in the city. It was the second-hand bookstore district where I often come to look for books. All right, Alex, walk around freely. I'll follow you. You love books, right? I don't know much about them, but I'll tag along. You probably couldn't read much today because of the worries. I hadn't told her I loved books, and would she? You really enjoy this kind of after party. When I asked her, she said, "Yes, I'm enjoying it." If this were a date, I wouldn't do well, but I thought I could guide her well in a place full of books. I took her to stores with beginner novels and rare books. Emily seemed interested in a historical novel by a famous author, Robert Thompson, so I bought her the best one. We went into a cafe where we could read books quietly. Since we couldn't talk loudly there, we just drank coffee and read our books. Emily was intently reading the historical novel I recommended. Occasionally, we made eye contact and exchanged smiles, which I found very enjoyable. She also seemed satisfied, so I don't think she was bored. We left the cafe, visited more bookstores, and parted ways when it got dark. I felt a pang of loneliness as we said goodbye, but I quickly pushed it away. Emily had just played along with my charade for the day. She even chose a second-hand bookstore for the after-party, showing how considerate she is. And she's my boss. I can't get the wrong idea. We aren't even compatible after all. She's a former celebrity. The next day at lunch, I was about to go to a diner with John. At that moment, Emily appeared. She was carrying a large bag. "I made lunch, let's eat together. The three of us," she said. John had been excited about having a pork cutlet set meal today, but he immediately changed his tune, eagerly agreeing and acting all smitten. "You're married," I thought irritably. The weather was nice, making the company cafeteria terrace pleasant. Her lunch was lavish with many dishes, including pork cutlets, and it was delicious. Once we were full, she showed me the book she bought yesterday. I finished it. Your recommendation. What is the author trying to say? It was 400 pages long, and she had already read it. I actually don't like Robert Thompson, I admitted, not wanting to lie. He often appears on TV making pretentious comments. However, the book I gave her was excellent and was even made into a movie. Emily nodded thoughtfully. Not wanting to go straight home, I went out to the city. I found myself drawn to the same stores we visited, finally admitting to myself, I think I like Emily. This was a new feeling for me. The following week, an article about Robert Thompson's infidelity appeared in a magazine at work. Women from other departments came to see Emily, and men hesitated to talk to her. The magazine clearly showed Emily walking alongside Thompson. I spent more time than ever checking online news. The internet had already revealed Emily as the former actress, though she acted normal. The staff were full of jealousy and curiosity, saying all sorts of things. She said she'd stay single forever, or, with those connections, it's no wonder she got a position. Many were quick to change their tune. Even JN said, "I'm disappointed." I chose to ignore them. I also treated Emily normally, not mentioning the gossip. She quietly told me, "I'm used to it," but she looked sad. When I got home, my parents were acting strangely. "Alex, I made your favorite hamburger steak with just beef today. How about we watch a movie instead of TV tonight?" To my parents, I was a poor son being toyed with by a former actress. Their concerned behavior was so painful to see that I decided to tell them the truth. As dinner was prepared and Ned was browsing movie channels, a movie adaptation of Thompson's novel appeared on the screen. It was clearly a promotional stunt taking advantage of the scandal. Seeing him hastily turn off the TV made me feel even worse, so I decided to tell the truth right away. "Hey, about Emily." Just then, the doorbell rang. Mom went to answer it and brought Emily into the living room. "Excuse me for intruding. I'm sorry for coming so suddenly. There was a bit of trouble when I got off at the nearest station. She explained that she came to apologize but hesitated, thinking it might be inappropriate. Then people around her started to notice her. Someone even yelled "cheater" at her, and that led to a crowd gathering as people noticed her and joined in, some for amusement. She ran away from the station, circling around until she finally arrived at our house. I wandered around for about an hour, so no one followed me. My parents had uneasy expressions. No one said a word. As I was about to muster up the courage to speak in the awkward silence, Emily spoke up. I'm sorry for causing a scene, but it's true that I'm dating Alex. I'm only seeing Alex. Can you believe that? Emily said something unbelievable. My parents turned to look at me. I naturally turned to look at Emily. She was staring at my parents. The next person to break the strange silence was my dad. "Ha? We don't doubt you at all. Our son would never lie to us." Then Mom followed suit. "Oh, of course we raised him better than that, right, Alex? We trust whoever he chooses." Their unusual tone was somewhat amusing despite the situation. Feeling relieved by the slightly relaxed atmosphere, I was finally ready to tell the truth. "Dad, Mom, I'm sorry," I started, but they weren't listening to me at all. Emily had started to cry. We waited quietly until she stopped crying. After she calmed down, she shared her truth. 21 years ago, Emily was offered the lead role in a film based on a book by Robert Thompson. She was thrilled, but Thompson's side imposed a condition. The condition was that she would be an exclusive actress for all of his works for the next 20 years. Her agency was concerned that this would limit her opportunities, especially overseas, and tarnish her pure image due to Thompson's notorious reputation with women. After many negotiations, the film offer was withdrawn. The office was talking about continuing to work hard while waiting for a big opportunity. But a few months later, an unexpected notification arrived. It was a copy of a contract agreeing to Thompson's terms. Both Emily and the office had been deceived, but the contract that had been signed couldn't be undone. The contract stipulated that an unfair portion of Emily's earnings would go to Thompson, meaning the more she worked, the more the office would end up in the red. It felt like something the mall would do, but there was nothing they could do about it. Emily couldn't star in the film, continue her career, and had a regular obligation to accompany Thompson until her 42nd birthday. Believing she couldn't have a normal marriage with such a burden, she gave up and often declared her commitment to staying single. Soon that obligation would end. But their last meal together was caught by a tabloid. It was likely a deliberate setup by Thompson's side, either as harassment or blackmail. She regretted not considering this possibility. From the way she occasionally stumbled over her words, I realized that story was true. But from this point on, I wasn't sure how to take it, and I was at a loss. I was considering a normal, happy marriage with Alex, but with all this trouble, I don't think it's possible, she continued, but I was serious about it. "Please believe me," she said it all so smoothly that I couldn't tell if she was acting or being sincere. I had no clue. After all, I hadn't even told her my own feelings yet. My parents, who had been listening to her story intently, looked at each other and then said in unison, "It's no trouble at all. Please marry our son." Their perfect synchronization showed how close they were. I was the only one who was flustered. Emily's eyes sparkled. "Really? Are you sure someone like me is okay?" They nodded enthusiastically. I couldn't grasp the situation and tried to interject, but every time I tried, Emily would speak over me. Without being able to say anything, Emily and my parents were getting along splendidly. "So, Emily, what do you like about Alex? When did you first think that?" "It was around last year when he became my direct subordinate," Emily answered. "Unlike other employees, he treated me normally. He would point out my mistakes calmly and matter-of-factly." "I see. And when did you two become mutually affectionate?" my dad asked. Embarrassingly, Emily replied, "It was only recently. Alex is a bit shy." Wait, did she realize my feelings? Even so, I still hadn't confessed. She continued to chat animatedly with my parents, who loved talking about relationships. Only Anug, who sensed my true feelings, looked at me and whimpered softly. "I've stayed too long," Emily said. "That's all right. Come by any time. I'll have the bed ready for you, Alex." It's dark. Make sure you escort her home and scare off any weird fans, my parents added. Without a single word from me, Emily had become my parents-approved fiancée. On the way to the station, still not fully believing it, I asked her, "The part after you retired from the entertainment industry was an act, wasn't it?" "Oh, you notice. Impressive," she said nonchalantly. My heart sank as dark as the night. Why would she lie like that, deceiving my parents? What was she thinking? My sadness quickly turned to anger. Enough of this. It's one thing to lie to me, but deceiving my parents is too much. Even if lying is common in shows, this is the real world. I shouted in anger, feeling awkward. I quickened my pace. When I turned back, Emily had stopped far behind, looking down. I rushed back to her and found her sobbing like a child. "It's not a lie. I really do love you, but you never noticed my feelings. Playing the girlfriend role made me happy, and your parents' warmth touched me so much. But you never understood, Alex. This was the only way I could think of. I knew you always read books, but you never noticed me." What is she saying so straightforward and vulnerable? Emily, always sociable, meticulous, and reliable, must have been acting all along. That must have been so hard. That night, I gathered the courage to express my feelings, and we officially started dating with marriage in mind. It was also a battle against the tabloids in Thompson's side, but since I was not well versed in entertainment gossip, I ignored the frenzy and stayed calm. The noise eventually died down. My parents even eagerly answered interviews, turning public opinion in our favor. The media and Thompson's side's attempt at manipulating information failed spectacularly. Now, a few months later, Emily was being sympathized with as a victim of the dark side of the entertainment industry, and Thompson's reputation had plummeted. We quietly and discreetly submitted our marriage license application. I informed my department, and they threw us a celebratory party. John, drunk, kept saying, "I'm the Cupid here. You gotta thank me too, damn it." I hadn't forgotten that I had pretty much followed the same path that led John and his wife to get together. It was simple. We met at a bar one day, said hi and oh, hello, hit it off, went to an after party, and a week later she was visiting my family. Thinking back, it was so similar that it made me laugh. These things do happen like that. The celebration seemed likely to go beyond the second party into a third. "Alex, you should call your mom and let her know you won't need dinner," Emily suggested. Emily never laughed at me for checking in with my mom about dinner plans. It wasn't just that Emily and my mom got along well, but Emily had grown up without knowing her own parents. She believed that if you have parents, it's only natural to thank them and keep them informed about your life. She admired that I maintained such a close relationship with my parents even as an adult. I also felt a renewed sense of gratitude toward my parents. The happiness of falling in love, getting married, and becoming a family is wonderful. The bond I thought didn't exist was right in front of me. I was wrong for not seeing it. While my indifference worked to our advantage with the media, I wanted to be more sensitive and caring towards the people close to me like family, friends, and colleagues. I aimed to grow more as a person. I hope Emily and I can become a couple who stay